discovered.
Yes.
And I will make a PowerPoint later, because we're just doing this for the record. But you want that over there, the mic in a better position?
No, it's okay because it's on
Right.
stereo, so it'll catch this.
Okay, now what?
Show 56.
Oh.
We apologise for the lack of quality in the transmission the last few days. It's because we haven't been using the Yeti because I haven't been here, bottom line, with my computer. That's what it's all about. So, do you want to go over what you were talking about the last couple of days that people have missed because of the...
Yes, primarily many years ago I was came in contact with a fellow Bruce Cathy, New Zealander. He's a pilot, and he's about, I don't know, 10 years older than me. I think, well, he was born in 1930, so he's 14 years older than me. So that would make him 84 now. However, he was a man that had worked out the harmonics.
What is that noise? I've got two noises happening. Somebody over the road, but a machine next door. The clothes on.
Be back in a minute. Trying to close all the windows to get noise out.
Well, it's the tree trimming out the front. They're trimming our tree.
Oh dear.
Not that it really needs it. Thought it was looking rather lovely.
There goes a bloody dog next door now. Did you get that on eBay? Did you buy that small bore shotgun for me for the dogs?
After the show, they'd be right onto it.
I should mention when we went to Rome, we had 5 dogs. Remember that?
Dogs come.
We actually had to buy an air gun, CO2 pistol. It looked like a Beretta.
Yeah,
That you could rob a bank with it because they're so. You could get a Colt 45.
Yes.
And like in Italy, mafia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing how easy it is to walk into a sports store and walk out with a Beretta, which we did.
And then go to the bank and rob it.
Which we did. However, the dog question was settled that night, wasn't it? It didn't take much at all, just fright. And then they didn't.
Well, what you do is, I had the same problem in Canada. I used to work a huge amount of hours, and there was a dog about 200 feet away that would bark all night. So I bought an air gun, and right next to it was a garbage can. So I'd turn on the torch or flashlight, which I had strapped to the barrel of the gun so I could see the sights, right? And then I'd hit the tin can. So after a while, every time I turned the light on, it would stop barking.
Right.
So you knew something was coming, right?
Yes.
Didn't know what it was. Anyhow, that's the story of my life. Everywhere I go, I'm surrounded by dogs. I think there's a...
Yes, there's a little scripture verse there. The dogs
Right.
that compass me about it.
Now let's talk about Bruce. What he had in his story, if you've watched any of the videos that we did recommend to watch, he said that Einstein had talked about harmonics and we live in a holographic universe, which I've been saying all along. I had mentioned that in the 90s and early 2000, you could, in Melbourne, I walked outside to look at M42 because M42 is unique in that it was not discovered by Galileo, but with the same telescope that he gave to Nicholas D. Parsec on the 26th of November that same year. He discovered M42, and M42 is 1,600 light years away, 16 light years wide. It has a trapezium in it, which is 4 suns, and a huge gas cloud of hydrogen, which scientists and astronomers believe that falsely, of course, they're always wrong, that the cloud of hydrogens will slowly be drawn together by nuclear attraction of the atoms, and you end up with a huge amount of pressure, which would create a sun. Which, if you look at it logically, you wouldn't have 4 suns in a trapezium, in other words, in a square. You'd have 1. How would you have 4? It'd all accumulate to one huge one, right? Okay. And then the thing would go out. Now, if it goes out and it's 16 light years wide, it should take 8 years for the light to stop illuminating the hydrogen, because it's being lit by the 4 trapeziums at the centre, which are used quite close together. So it was switching on and off daily. And then it went off. The first mention of it was in 137 AD by the Chinese, and then it was not mentioned anymore. It wasn't mentioned again for a very long period of time, because these people at that time were respected astronomers, and all the other astronomers would look for the same area of space, and then M42 is a very bright pink. You could go out, if it was on today, you could go out and look at it and see it with the naked eye. You don't need binoculars. Now, Orion, the belt of Orion, is depicting... What the hell is that now?
That's the tree trimmer's flag. Today they've chosen to trim trees for council. We should perhaps take
I wonder if Paul Bloody McCartney has the same problem. Isn't it amazing? Do you want to stop and start again?
Maybe we should just go out and watch them. That can be the upload for the day.
Well, what's it going to come out like over the radio?
I've no idea.
Is there any other windows open?
Can't be any worse than the last couple of shows. They're all closed now. Everything's fine.
All right, we'll carry on. If it doesn't turn out right, well, don't blame me this time. Right? So I walked out and looked at the belt of Orion and M42, and it's in the nebula of Orion. And when I looked up at it, I was surprised how huge it was. I was expecting to see it about, if you hold your hand out at arm's length and spread your fingers, say a man's hand, that's what it is now. Right?
Yes.
That's what it was when it was in Italy. Right? But when I looked at it in Melbourne all these years ago, it took up 1/3 of the sky, of the night sky. And I was sort of looking like that, and then turning my head and looking that way to see the other side of it. And the pink nebula was huge. So I thought, wait a second, this ain't right. Concluding that the what we see is not necessarily what's there. So we're living in an illusion anyhow. Now, if you was to want to prove my point that the stars don't exist in the realm of where you go to when you put a bullet through your head, because there ain't no stars in heaven, right? There ain't no nebulas, there's no sun, there's no need of the sun, because the light of it is the God thereof, right? And that is very true, because I've been there. I came from there. I'm telling you what it is. So the illusion we live in today is a holographic illusion. So this is what Bruce Cathy was saying, that when they let off the atomic weapons, one was plutonium and one was uranium. I believe the later ones are a combination of uranium and plutonium. However, they have a problem, that they have to have what Bruce was saying is the sun has to be in a certain angle, it has to be a certain time of the year, when the orbit of the Earth is just right, and the only nuclear or atomic blast you can carry out has to be at this certain precise moment. And he added that when they got the best pilots and the best bombardiers and were practicing bombing, this is taken back to where they had the fake crash of the aliens, Roswell, New Mexico. And incidentally, the latitude of Roswell is Messiah, right, which just happens to be, and I was there, and it just happens to be the same latitude, but on the northern side of the earth, that is Eileen's home, the harlot of Lithgow.
Who, total alien.
Oh, she's straight out of hell.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I try to explain that, or maybe I'm being a bit harsh, right? Oh no, I live with this arsehole, right? And I had to marry her because the angels didn't marry that one, right? Which it did with my second wife, and I wasn't too happy about it either. Another demon. So if there's a demon that you can imagine, multiply it by 1,000, and that's what this woman is. She is as evil as the day is long. Right. She's not just a slut. I don't mind a slut. They're handy now and then, so to speak. And on a slut, not a problem with it. Okay, so they've got no morals. Right? That's just how they are. Right? They're sex crazy or whatever the case may be. But not this bastard. Right? Maybe I'll write a book about it one day. It would make you cry. So evil it is. Getting back to it. The distance to the sun and the moon at these locations, so you could say that Hiroshima was a test run. Oh, it worked, good. Now we go for the Nagasaki one. Now, the Nagasaki one occurred with a series of extraordinary numbers. And what Bruce said in his observations and his mathematics was the sun had to be at a certain angle, and then he got the hypotenuse, and he done a triangle, and he done this and done that, and he had the latitude, and all very nice. And I'm looking at it now on the screen here. It's got line from the Earth centre to the Sun centre. This is Nagasaki. And he's got SGP, sun ground position. So that is why I'm saying to you that when you take a line from the sun, say a laser beam, and point it at the centre of the Earth, where it goes and hits the centre of the Earth, go back where it goes through the surface of the Earth, that is the latitude and longitude. That's what he's working on.
Yes.
Right? So then he's got the NE nuclear event, right? And he's got that triangulated. And it's on a line around the Earth that is everything on this planet, where you sit on it. If you draw a line straight through to the centre of the Earth and come out the other side and draw a line around the Earth, it is a length, which I am doing on this other presentation, and it's very significant. And that is the angle that he calculates. He was then approached by the CIA, and several stories he's talked about where he was approached by the CIA.
Now, what is interesting, backing up, because these exact seconds in time, because that's what it boils down to, the seconds in time.
Yes.
Is to do with the harmonics.
The harmonics.
The music. The sound.
The music. Exactly right. Now, if you go back in ancient time, it was well known, because as we've gone forward in time, the events that we are experiencing are subject to the devil, Jews, because they control everything. So your universities, and that's what Cathy said. He said he's glad he didn't go to university because he wouldn't have been able to discover what he did, because the bullshit they teach you.
In a box
yes.
filled with garbage.
That's right.
Get them nowhere.
So what he was pointing out, however, that the CIA came and seen him and they offered him a job. And he thought, no, if he took a job with the CIA, they find out all his secrets and he's going to end up with a bullet. Right? So he made it public. He went and seen a man called Holyoake, was the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and apparently a decent sort of fellow. And he said he's writing a book on all these numbers, and he wants to know if it's going to be any against the interest of New Zealand if he published it. And he said, no, go ahead. And he's got a letter. He said that's what saved him all the way through. He got this letter from Holyoake, right, in the 60s. So he wrote the book, and he's got these drawings that he goes on these seminars, or did do, and he'd draw up how it all was this and how the sun was here and that, blah, 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 and on it goes. However, I saw it as, no. That's wrong. Now, what is the harmonics? Well, if you was to have a string and you hung a ball off your ceiling and that string is, say, 8 feet long with a heavy weight on it, maybe a couple of pounds or whatever, and you twang it, you'd get a sound come off it. Now, because it's a magnetic ball, it is attracted to the sun. Likewise, it gives off a harmonic string, which was known to the ancients, that all of the planets had a harmonic sound about them.
Well,
that's why they knew they were there. Some people could hear it.
That's right, like I'm hearing it.
You can hear Nibiru coming in with its planets, right?
Many people are hearing what they describe as, I heard one guy just describe it as a high-pitched whir. I just call it the ringy-dingy. It's
very
really
technical.
Intense. Yeah, really technical. And I was surprised because spending the week with our grandson, Lincoln, and our daughter, Ali, she can hear it as well. Paul can't, but Ali does. And she described the sound she hears as an old TV set left on another room, perhaps late at night where the transmission goes off. You just have that really high, I suppose, pinging sound.
Right.
And she hears it. She can tell when it's intense or not. Some days it's not there. That's really rare.
Well, my mother had the same thing, and she thought it was tinnitus. Is it the word? Tinnitus? Tinnitus?
Yeah.
Now, I'm just turning my computers around because I will include this when we upload it to give you some points so we can look at both computers here. And I'll show you the drawing that is on the internet that Bruce made. So we're going to look at it. Now, it's always a light problem with doing this sort of thing. No, that's not too bad. So what you got on the screen here is a sphere of the Earth. It's got the centre of the Earth, and he talks about the axis of the Earth being tilted over in relationship to the Sun, which it is, and therefore each day of the year it's changing because the Earth's in orbit around the Sun. It's 23.5 degrees at an angle. So then I've got my PowerPoint that I'm starting, which is another computer. I'll just get that up on the screen here, and we'll look at that, and then I'll point something out, and then we'll talk about it. So what we have here right, we've got the distance from Nagasaki's point. Now it's hard to find, but we did manage to find it, the exact timing of the impact or explosion, and the numbers I had that I found were later. I got Joel to check out, and he had a bit more time to look into it, and it's a different time of the explosion. Right? I had difficulty finding the latitude and longitude of it, but between the both of us we were able to do that. So what we have then is the age of the moon. Let's go back a drawing. And we see that the moon is east of Australia and southeast of Nagasaki. So it's northeast of Australia and southeast of Nagasaki. The distance to where I was born, so now this is all about forbidding Christ. Protocols of Zion, right? We will forbid Christ. So the detonation, the age of the moon was 1 day, 1 hour, and 11 minutes. The distance from Nagasaki to the moon location at that moment to where I was to be raised until I was 942 days old, right? The distance is 1.1 kilometres. You can't do it with Google Earth, don't try it. You've got to have Magellan, right? Offline Magellan, old software on a CD, right? Because they can't change that. It's too late. They would if they could. Probably if I knew Magellan was different. Now, what we have then is 1,111.1 kilometres. We have the age of the moon, which is 1 day, 1 hour, 11 minutes, and there's probably 11 seconds. Right? That's a detonation. Right? We have my age, right? Which I'll do in the PowerPoint, I won't go into it now. We have the distance to the sun. As I said, I lived in that home until I was 942 days old. The distance to the sun was, let's think now, something like that. 942 exactly going on. Right? We convert the distances to kilometres or back and forth, and we also can do it in nautical miles, and we can also do it in astronomical units. It is astounding that it is actually pinpointing me 100%. You cannot get more accurate than what it's doing.
From what I heard you talk in one of the ghastly uploads, the distance to the sun was 942,286.
That's right.
Which is the displacement factor.
That's
and
right.
Lamb.
Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. Get over here a bit because I'm still looking at the screen here. As I say, I'll put this into a PowerPoint. Now, it's got Nagasaki time was 11:02. When I looked up on the internet what time the internet gave as being the actual detonation, it was 8:15. Now, Nagasaki is GMT time plus 9. It's actually above Australia. It's very close in time. So it wasn't difficult to nail it down once I knew the exact moment. Right. Now, what Bruce was saying was that when he did it, they practiced bombing for 9 months with the best crew they had in America.
Yes, it was a 300-foot wide circle
from 30,000
feet.
And his comment was, why couldn't you just throw it out the window? It's over a big city anyhow, it doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, it would do the same damage.
He said it had to be at the exact moment, at the exact time to get the harmonics right.
That's right.
So the harmonics of the bomb was designed specifically, right, to have a harmonic shape and size, dimension, based on the plutonium or the material they was using. In this case, they used the first one was plutonium, I think, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. It was two different types of bombs. One was uranium, and the other one's plutonium. The bombs they have today was a combination of both. Gets us to Fukushima, right? So what's happening at Fukushima? Well, that's very, very odd, because there's another fellow that was in the original scientist, that was developing ways for safely handling this material. He said you can carry it around in your pocket. Plutonium. He said he would often have a plutonium. What they was trying to do was get the plutonium to be a certain size to suit their experiments. So when they pulled them together, when they get to a critical point, the power would jump between the two and all the lights would go blue that would be given off. And that was ready to go into the critical stage of giving off heat. So he said he'd put one in one pocket, one in the other pocket, take it down the corridor to the lab that was making these things for him, and just put them on a lathe and cut them out the size they want. He said as long as they didn't put them together, they didn't have a problem. Right? He talked about how many people had died from a reaction with plutonium. He said they made a mistake because once they got a reaction going, they had no way of switching it off because they dropped a bloody screwdriver across two pieces and they shorted it out. Right? That's what happened. I was experimenting and the guy dropped the screwdriver and there was 8 guys in the room. Next thing it went into fusion and the heat given off burnt them. Right? And they died something like 40 hours later. So it was that kind of thing. The guy before he died said if I had a ratchet on this thing, but he got too close together and it could have off the blue light and it started to go into fusion and then he couldn't unratchet it. Right. So he got a screwdriver in there, tried to lever it and boom, that shorted it out. And that's it. So went off like a flashbulb. So that's what happened Now, the point is, they're saying, with the Samson option, that they have nuclear weapons in every city. You can't let them off. You can't fight a nuclear war. It's bullshit. It doesn't work. That's why this fellow in New Zealand had put it out with all these numbers. So what he did to save his life, he put it out, it's based on the sun position. It ain't. It's based on the moon. Because the moon is much more of a gravitational field harmonics to the earth. It pulls the sea up and causes the tides. The sun don't.
That's right.
So that's what that's all about.
And the sun, the moon is the chronograph, it's the time clock.
That's right. Moon is your ancient time. And so what we have then is a series of numbers that Kathy knew that if he had put the drawings out with the moon, they'd kill him. So he led him down the garden path. He had everything right. Then he said it's based on the sun. They didn't mention the moon. So with our programs, I've been noticing that the newer programs, as in Google Earth, they keep changing that. They've also changing the astronomy programs.
Now, tell me, when Google Earth updates, because I've opened Google Earth this morning and it's not there, is that not, now I've had to download it and...
Well, isn't that odd?
Updates.
You've got to... Why would you have to update Google Earth? They say, oh, well, they've built another street in bloody Afghanistan. Right? Bullshit. They're changing the numbers. Because every time I come out with something, they'll change the numbers. And I was saying the other day that they had Washington at 5813 nautical miles to the Great Pyramid. I said, oh, no, it ain't. Now, what happened when they laid out, Freemasonry laid out a 10 miles square for Washington, right? That's when they set it all out. And their instruments didn't give them the precise location to give it 5813 nautical miles from the Great Pyramid, because that's what they're trying to do. It's base of the pyramid, square, base of the 10 mile, right? So that's what they was trying to do. Why? Well, you got the base of the pyramid 36524.24, right? Which is 100 years, right? At a pyramid equaling a day. So they're laying at Washington at 10 square miles, which is 10 times 10, which is 100. Then it's got to be 5813, because that's the capstone. Mathematically, that is when in place. However, it's not, because the base of the pyramid was built smaller based on the corner sockets being correct. Then they reduced it by 286.1. Right? And it's pointless going there. We did. It's bullshit. I wish I never had went. I was appalled by what they did to it. So just to mention what they did, we go into the King's Chamber after I had 11 heart attacks, and they'd poisoned me that morning, and I had to be there on my mother's birthday. So this is the 11th of October 2013. So when we get in there, the fools, to keep from damaging the pyramid interior, like it's fucking granite, right? They put a fan in to pull the air out, pushing it up through the air shaft is what they think it is, when it's actually an astronomical pointer. So they got a jackhammer, and here's this wall, 7,000 years old, been brought 600 miles from Aswan, right? Great huge block. They get into it with a jackhammer to insert a fan in the hole. That's how fucked in the head they are. And what happened? A 2 metre square chunk of the granite fell off the wall, crashed to the ground. Because what do they do with it? Well, they would have thrown it out somewhere. Right? That's how stupid these people are. National Geographic gives them $200,000 a year to have the rights to anything that comes out of the Giza Plateau or any antiquities that they discover.
Yes, National Geographic.
Why is that? Who owns it?
The
Jews.
So they can control, which is all particles. It is, it's all particles.
Protocol.
Of the protocols of Zion.
We will forbid Christ. They know that the Great Pyramid is all to do with Christ.
Everything. They must control all archaeological digs.
Right.
All the evidence found everywhere for God, they must control.
Got it. So we're going back to now looking at Nagasaki and it is the moon angle. So therefore, this PowerPoint that I'll be doing is taking several mysteries into consideration that was blatantly obvious by this very educated man, a practical man in New Zealand, flies planes like I do, right? Hands on, and didn't go to university, which is he said if you had have and learnt what they teach you, it's all crap, right? So when he was approached by the CIA, one thing he mentions that he was in a stopover one night when a flight across New Zealand was going to the South Island the next morning, and he stayed overnight in a hotel with his co-pilot, and he was approached. And this guy started talking to him and offered to buy him a drink, and he's not really a drinker, so he wanders up to the bar with him, he's having a bit of a yap, and he sees this guy sitting on a stool that's pissed, right? And while the conversation is carrying on, this guy who's drunk turns to him and he said to him in a very derogatory fashion, "How can a no-hoper like you come up with all the mathematics you do?" So here's this drunk. He was part of the CIA. Part of the Jewish Satanist cartel is what it is. They're not talking about me, the Satanists. Right? I said to, like, all of the world leaders, they're not talking about me, whether they're good or bad, doing good things or not, they're Satanists. And I'm including Putin in that. He's not talking about me. So if the world was to blow up tomorrow and he's standing at the pearly gates waiting to get in and saying, "Well, why didn't you talk to me, arsehole? Why didn't you mention I'm back on the earth, arsehole?" Right? We all know. So don't take anything that comes out of the newspapers or what Putin's doing or anyone else, because it's called the Hegelian dialectic. The good cop, bad cop. Control both sides. Right? And I've said to Putin, go in and take out Tel Aviv now. All you've got to do is buy yourself 1 million motorbikes, or manufacture them. You've had enough times. I've told them a long time ago to do it, and go in by motorbike, each with missiles, each with soldiers, each with Uzis if you like, and take these bastards out, because they can't stop you. Your nuclear weapons, you should know. He's head of the bloody KGB. He should know what works and what doesn't work. They know that these nuclear bombs that they've been working on, they know that the meltdown in Chernobyl was Jewish. It happened to happen when what? They were just shutting it down for the day, just for a bit of a test. Hello? It's like putting the chickens with bloody Fox in charge of the chickens.
Fox in charge of the chickens.
All right? They trust nothing. Unless they're talking about me, don't believe a word they're saying. That simple. I don't give a fuck who it is. Right? There's only one man who's talking about me in power, and that was bloody Benedict. Look what happened to him. Right?
Absolutely.
Murder and all sorts of things. And we've got this Francis arsehole who knows about me, right? Because the Pope told him, right? And he's talking to, how do you get into heaven? Do you have to have Jesus? And he says to the Jews, no, no, no. The only way you're getting into my house is through my gate. And that's big JC. And not the one you think it is either.
Not the airy fairy.
Not the airy fairy pansy Jesus that turns cheek.
Image of the beast.
I've had more fights than Muhammad Ali. Right? All righteous. A lot of people end up with broken bloody bits and pieces on them when I get through them, because I can fight like a fucking thrashing machine. Right? I've always, matter of fact, that Hank's father said to me, I should, because I was a big kid, right, and powerful. He said, I'll train you to be a boxer. I said, you could be a heavyweight boxer. I said, of course I can. Right? Wouldn't last 2 minutes. Muhammad Ali wouldn't last 2 minutes with me. I'd break his bones. I did him so hard, right? And I've done that to big people, much bigger than I, in righteous ways, because the angels give me the power. Right? So I've tried to mention that when I need to have, I can lift a vehicle if I have to. Right? I've done so. Matter of fact, Michelle is a witness to that. She drove the car into because she's an idiot, right? And she got it hung up, the front of the car, on, because there was a tapering type of part of the garden, and it was concrete. And so she come in on the shoulder and kept going, and then it was jammed on it. So I thought, you bloody moron, right? So I got out and I lifted the car off and put it down again. Right? Well, that's not a bad effort. I'd like to see Arnold Schwarzenegger do that. But it's no effort when the angels do it. So I just lift what I can and the angels do the rest. So, getting back to what it's all about, it's the position of the moon at that moment, and it was a slap in my face because of the distances from Nagasaki to the moon location to my location where I grew up. At the moment, the distance to the sun was 942 million miles, right? 94.2 million miles, if you like. And then, if you look at it from the moon position, it also has a 942 in it. And then you start calculating it in miles or in kilometres and the angles, etc. And it has my name written all over it. And that's why they did it. It's that simple. Now, are you being poisoned by plutonium? No. According to the old timers, they was walking around with it in their pockets. And I looked up on the internet in the encyclopedia, brother. The best time if you want to look at the encyclopedia is get an old one, because they haven't changed it. Right? So if you happen to be in a library, look up plutonium, and it's an old encyclopedia, even if it's the Britannica, which is owned by the Jews, by the way. It's owned by Sears Roebuck, the catalogue people or it's actually Roebuck in America. And it was Roebuck that I worked on the first computer that gives you a barcode for the 666 number. I was the first to install it in San Diego.
So, babe, you installed it like a beast.
That's right. And the distance to the stars above at that time was 666 in astronomical units. Something like that, 66.6, whatever it was. So, I just got to say, well, where was I on it? What date was it? Where was the distance to the stars? Blah, blah, work it out, and there it is. Every time. So I retract my steps and then find that it is, unfortunately, verifiable only in encyclopedias that haven't been altered.
So again, it's another ID tag for who the beast is, and the beast is Rothschild. You were born under his...
a lot of people say, oh, it's the Prince Charles or someone else. No.
It's the Rothschild family, Rothschild blood.
Yeah.
Behind everything. And they just harnessed...
Okay, so you don't have to worry about plutonium. So what we have then, is this accurate? What is killing the fish and the plankton and the whales and the sea lions and the pelicans along the coast of America? What's doing it? Well, it ain't radiation.
About half.
Maybe it's HAARP. But certainly they are using HAARP. But that causes your earthquakes and weather control and tornadoes, and sure they're doing that, there's no problem. It causes droughts. We know we've had 18-year drought in Australia. When we moved down to Harcourt, it starts raining cats and dogs, right? Where you are, it rains. So there seems to be a correlation there. But what is killing these things? Well, what are they spraying above London and England and Scotland as we're driving in and you're taking photographs of your eye as we're doing it? Explain that. I said we're driving in from Scotland into England and there's chemtrails starting off early in the morning and there would 40 in the sky, right? I said, get your camera and take a photograph of this.
So I'm holding the
So
camera.
she's holding the camera up, and I look across, and there's getting more and more chemtrails. This is great, right? This is going to make a great upload.
And I'm looking at the camera on the window, and I'm just holding it, thinking, oh, this is steady. My hand can't move because I'm renowned for unsteady photography. And I'm thinking, why can't I see what's out there through the screen? It took until the first mocker stop at that little...
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Oh, it was before then, was it?
No, we were driving along, and I'm looking up, and they're getting more and more heavy because we've gone from a couple to about 40 in a matter of a few short miles, really, as we're going across maybe 10 miles. And you're just filming one. I look across, you got the camera backwards.
That's right.
So what we've got of England's first fantastic proof of the formation of these things that are increasing as we're looking at them is your face.
That's perfect. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Reminds me of the time I'm going for the Wenky National Park. And I've got a 300mm telephoto lens to take the sable that was jumping across the road. They're a beautiful animal, black and white, long horns, and they leap across the road and do about 30 or 40 feet at a time. They might be 10, 15 feet in the air. It's fantastic to see. So Eileen's sitting beside me and she's got the camera on. And I said, now, when I tell you, click it. Right? So, number one, she clicks it, doesn't happen. So I look across the camera and she hasn't wound the film forward. Right? So I thought, what a moron, right? So we're going a little bit further. One jumps in there, click it, and she doesn't do it again. So I thought, bloody hell, what's going on here? So about the third time I was starting to get pissed off, right? So I thought these are a herd, and you might run out of the herd and won't anybody more, right? So next thing, a rogue elephant comes running out on the left-hand side. And what happens, a rogue elephant, the youngsters kick him out. He's been the bull, he's even their father, right? And he's been kicked out, and they're big buckers, and they're angry because they've got no women no more. And the youngsters have taken over. So he's hooting and carrying on and running up beside the car. And with great long tusks, about 10 feet long, he could have just put it through the car and just turned the car over, right? So as this thing runs out, I said to Eileen, she's got this camera up to her eye, right? I said, press it, right? She doesn't do it. So I reach across. She's now terrified. She sees the elephant. So I click it. And when the film came back, it was a close-up of the elephant's arsehole. I told that to the Pope. He thought it was a good story. You know? I got the email to the Pope telling him about it. The old Pope would sit up in bed waiting for the emails to come back because he'd ask a question and I'd send us the story back. I wasn't sprouting on about bloody biblical bullshit. I was talking about what I'd done in my lifetime, right? And all the funny things that had happened, right? And he loved it, right?
He felt down like the gospel stories. Stories of Jesus in the Bible.
Well, he's spent his life with his nose buried in this bullshit of religion, right?
Yes.
To suddenly be awakened by a half-crazed Australian Christ that's telling funny things that happened in my lifetime.
Live your life, son.
All right, so it's obviously the chemtrails that fall down on the mountains and on the rivers and the snow and how rain forms. It's on a dust particle that gathers moisture at an altitude as it's being raised up in the heat wave of the day, and as it reaches height, it starts to gather crystals when the temperature drops, till finally it forms a piece of hail, ice, and then it falls, and as it falls, it melts and turns to rain. That comes down through your rivers, you're drinking it, goes into your sea, and of course, eventually, it's got to poison the sea. And that's what I think is causing the die-off of the sea life in America, because once your plankton's gone, your shrimp's gone, your tiny fish are gone. The bigger fish that eat them, they have nothing to eat, so they die. Then the bigger fish that eat them, they die. Then the birds that eat them, they die. Then the sea lions die because they've got nothing to eat. The pelicans, they've got nothing to eat because there's no fish. So look at the cycle, you see it is going from the plankton killing the sea, which is biblical prophecy. Right? And that appears, don't worry about radiation, it's bullshit. Don't worry about anything but what you're being fed. And if you're going to go into growing your own food, that is why they have laws in America. You can't grow your own food, and if you do, you can't even give it away to your next door neighbour. What kind of bullshit is this? That you can't even grow a bloody cauliflower, and if you do, it's going to get the shit raining down from the chemtrails that's going to poison you anyhow. So you have to grow it inside your house, or preferably into, you know, when I've met a person some years ago that was in the business of making pressurized rooms for computers. So they have the computer rooms in these big businesses, big corporations. The computers have to be at a certain temperature. They have to be in an environment where the not only is the temperature control, it's got to be humidity control. And he used to build these rooms. Right? That is really how you grow your food. Keep the chemtrails from pouring down on it, and if you're going to put water on them, make sure the water is pure water. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
That, I think, is a final analysis. And the timing of the Nibiru coming in, I have movies of it, as you know, and they have been removed from my computer. When you buy a new computer, you switch it on, you're immediately backdoored, especially as soon as you go on the internet. So if you're going to buy a new computer, make sure you don't go on the internet. As soon as you do, you're naked. I got you. So all the spyware, there are laws. You cannot have a spyware that can't be entered by a spy agency. So you can go to these things in America, they have seminars and all this junk you can buy. It's amazing. Right? Spyware. Yet each of it has to be licensed so that the spy can be spied upon. Same with computers. Let that sink in.
Now, I'm thinking about what Sherry said, which was really disturbing. She was...
All right, let's get Lorraine Murray. She's on the Weber show, the homosexual guy.
Yeah.
Right, who can hardly put two words together. And she has had seminars all over Japan.
Yeah, so what's his face? Weber is buddy with the other creep, Kevin Annett.
Kevin Annett, who's putting the Pope down. So,
who is, and they talk about him being a Jesuit, adjunct, meaning they work with the Jesuits. So Lorraine Murray gets on and spews all of her information, one after the other, that...
I've been doing it for years, and how to protect yourself from plutonium poisoning. You buy seaweed from Japan. Hello, just a minute.
Miso from Japan.
The closer to Fukushima seaweed, the better. What kind of idiot is this? And she lives on a street that is a luxury part of San Francisco.
Berkeley.
Yeah. And her phone number is there. We have actually contacted her, and guess what? You don't want to talk to us. So, as I said before, from Putin down to Lorraine Murray, if you don't want to talk to me, you've got a problem. Same as when we were in Egypt. They all knew who we were, but they didn't want to talk to us. Maybe in 3 months' time, when everything's settled down. This is the message we get back from the general ISIS.
It's a wait and see situation. Well, we'll
wait and see. Wait and see for what?
Utter destruction.
This problem can be solved this afternoon if they announce it. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to judge, right? And it ain't Jesus. Let's get that right. I was Jesus, ain't no more. This is Christ time. This is when Yahweh himself comes to the earth. True?
True.
Lord, Lord, look what you've done in your name. Fuck you. Oh, my Lord Jesus. He doesn't say fuck. Oh, yeah, I do. Right? You can't. Big difference. I'm the judge here. I can say what I fucking like. Scary, isn't it? It better be. I scare myself sometimes. You gotta look in the mirror every morning when I get up. That's a scary sight. So you don't get to, it's not an election, you don't get to judge what God thinks or who God is and what's the God nature of God. You're in the judgment seat. You've been reincarnated and you're being judged on what you were in your lifetimes before. So what you do in this lifetime is determined by the lifetimes you've led before. And you are enacting your nature.
Your nature, yes.
Which is formed by your 7 times on the life before. And this is judgment. You can sit back and watch what these Jews are doing in lawn chairs, applauding, sipping tea and coffee and bloody smoking cigars, watching the army go in and bomb Palestine. And we have that knock-knock weapon that comes in little blast on top of a building of 45 seconds to get out. And then they destroy it utterly. Right? So we got that on YouTube, right? Or we got it somewhere. Has it been uploaded yet? We should upload it onto our programs now.
I'll have Adam find it.
So what it is, well, you should have got it straight away when I said it. Always do something immediately, not...
Well, perhaps he did. I don't
Well,
know.
if he hasn't, as I'm saying to you, when I say something, you do it sooner than I say it. Preferably. Right? Not you're sleepy, I want to do this and do something else. Oh no. When I see it, do it and get it up there. Right? Because they will take it off the internet and you won't see it again. So what it is, they send a small bomb on top of a 3 or 4 story building, of a house with, rather apartment building with children in it, of course, and old age pensioners or whatever. And you've got 45 seconds to vacate a 4-story building. Then they destroy it right down to the ground. Utterly.
Blow it up.
They're saying, the Jews are saying, this is to give people a warning. So to give them a chance to get out. Bullshit is to terrorise them and hit them with death. Because they know, the Palestinians know, if you've got a thing hit you on the roof, you've got 45 seconds to live. And then you go into a panic. Imagine trying to round the 3 kids up. And then get down the stairs and get out. You wouldn't even get across the street and still kill you. You've got to be 300 yards from it to not be injured by it. How are we going for time then, Bob?
Oh, okay, we're at 52 minutes.
So,
5 to
you want to round up what we have said as a parting message? They're not talking about me, it's bullshit.
Yes. Yeah, that's what
Until they do, and we've got the angels coming in, and I'm going to release them on, and they're going to... If you think that what the Jews are doing to the Palestinians, my vengeance is going to leave that for dead. Where you're going, you evil bastards, I will give you something you cannot even have dreamed of. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
It feels to me, after I spent that week tweeting, and I sent out almost 2184 tweets, is what I sent out in that spurt over the days. It feels to me like they've ramped it up, because I tweeted all of them. Rothschilds, Netanyahu, the UN, everybody.
2184 is whoredom,
Well,
infidelity.
yes.
Daily in Greek.
And this is what they're practicing. They are practicing whoredom.
Absolutely.
This is the whore. So it felt to me like they ramped it up. They got them all right, and they've ramped it up. That's what it felt like. Another slap in the face, as you say. So,
Well, the Samson option is what it's all about. They don't have any option. This is their problem. Nuclear don't work, right? People are getting onto the fact they've been poisoned with water all these years with Monsanto and all that kind of stuff. It's not working anymore.
no, people are aware of it all. They're walking away from it.
There will not exist a Jew on the earth when I'm finished with it. And the earth will be turned to paradise. I was telling Adam yesterday about the economic system, how easy it can be fixed to the benefit of the worker and to the benefit of the businessman and to the benefit of the people overall, to have cheap product, high revenue, everyone's wealthy, and even the little girl who was making a pair of Nike boots, when she gets 30 cents for that per hour, or whatever the case may be.
Less than.
Or less than. Maybe 3 cents a shoe.
3 cents a shoe, isn't it? Yes.
Speaking of the devil, here he comes down the stairs, looking quite lovely.
Hi, babe. Listen, question. That, what is it? Israel, and they're sending the warning, the knock knock
Yeah,
ahead of time.
what about that?
Is did you download it? Or
Joel's got it in the video.
he's got it
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have the
original?
the first knock hitting. It's just got the house being blown to shit.
Oh, you have got the whole thing. Okay.
Well, it's got to go up on our site then. So, a little short version of it.
Well, they're doing worse in Ukraine.
Yeah. What's going on in the Ukraine?
4 o'clock bomb raids in the morning. 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
And then they level entire housing dwelling with thousands of people in it. Like in Gaza, they're not leveling buildings.
Mm.
Yes, they are.
Well, as you see, there's still standing structures. Like they will level a certain block, but
Well, that's the terror factor.
in Ukraine, it's literally systematic genocide.
Mm.
Like in Gaza, they're installing terror and they're killing people. In Ukraine, they're just killing everybody. Just wiping them out. And nobody's listening. Like this whole flight that's been down, Russia released the radar information that showed there was a Ukrainian jet in the area. But nobody gives a shit.
No.
Obama's already got what he wanted. Hillary's already got what they want.
Mm.
Everybody's Russian-phobic. Everybody's, Putin and the Russians must pay for this. They should all be killed.
Yes. I know, that's been the headlines all over the place. That's the, being in a family that does have the TV on and watches the news, that's it. It's all Russia, Russia, Russia did it, Russia did it, and Obama calling for blood from Russia, and it's pathetic. Absolutely sick. And nobody's listening to anything else.
Russia's just saying
So
this takes months. You can't blame anybody. Russia's like, we don't even know who to blame yet. They're saying if it was the pro-Russian separatists, they will be absolutely in trouble for it. There'll be repercussions. They're saying there's no Russia's okay. Look, as if the U.S. doesn't know either. You know, the missile defense system I was telling you about, the weapon defense system I was telling you about back in 2008, that Shadow was working on. That's what Russia has, and they released the photographs. They released the photographs of all the operating BUK missile defense systems that were in operation in the area, and there was hundreds. And they're saying, why do you have a missile capability, like a missile system that's capable of downing a plane from 35,000 feet, when the Ukrainian separatists, right, the East Ukrainian rebels, the militia, doesn't have any planes? The fuck is that for? Why do you have a missile defense system used for taking down aircraft when they have none? But no, like, nobody's raising these questions. Nobody gives a shit. The world wants war.
Distraction is working.
No, the world wants war because they're all stupid in the head. I've lost faith in all of them. They're all just fucking in the head.
Well, darling.
With that, end of show 56.
Oh, you're recording?
Yes, totally.
I thought you finished.
No. We are now.
Sorry, folks. I do have faith in some of you.
Nobody in leadership.
Nobody in leadership.
This is the whole
Nobody on the social networking. Nobody on the media.
No.
And
everybody's in the judgment seat, as Yana's just finished saying. It's a rerun of their previous lives, which meant they have done nothing in their previous lives, or they've caused the death of millions,
Well, maybe it will lead to World War III. And that could be the final...
You're already in it. What are you talking about?
Well, World War
You can't have a nuclear war. All we can have is normal conventional weapons, and the ones that are armed to the teeth that do believe in Jesus and they're Muslims is Iran, who has never waged war except back in time when they took over Babylon.
With that,
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.
And a hearty cigarette.